There are some tracks here. Nice male leopard tracks on this road that Mike found. Jandre, look after your aerial there, it's making noise. Gail, you're in Rhode Island. I'm just going to go to the junction here and see if we can't spot where those tracks went. Gail, you say, what's the difference between a hot-blooded and a cold-blooded animal? I think that's what your question is. Well, I think an easier way of understanding it, Gail, would be for me to say, I'm going to describe it while I just have a quick look on the ground here, would be to use two different terms. Ectothermic, meaning sort of heat from outside, and endothermic, meaning heat from inside. And an endothermic animal consists of two classes of vertebrate, a vertebrate being an animal with a backbone like us, two classes of vertebrates that are endothermic, and there are three classes of vertebrates that are ectothermic. The endothermic ones, in other words the cold-blooded ones, which must get their heat in their bodies from outside, are fish, amphibians and reptiles. They all have to get the heat in their bodies from outside, and that's why you find lizards and snakes lying in the sunshine to warm their bodies up, and that helps the metabolic processes go forward, and that helps them to move quickly. In the same way, all the insects, all the invertebrates, so the animals without a backbone, are ectothermic. Endothermic animals are birds and mammals, and they maintain body temperature by burning fuel. So you maintain your body temperature at about 36.5 degrees, birds slightly higher up than that, mostly by burning fat and by burning carbohydrates and sugars. Our bodies maintain their own body heat, and the advantage of that is that we're able to take advantage of much colder latitudes than our endothermic animals. So you don't find much in the way of reptiles or amphibians, for example. It's at the poles. I can't see where this leopard's gone. But you do find mammals, and you do find birds that will live over winter even in the Arctic and the Antarctic, and that's because they're able to create the heat in their bodies. Fish, I suppose, are a slightly different example, but they've got enormous amounts of blubber, and they produce their heat probably in other ways, but they're not endothermic like we are. Does that answer your loser or link? Okay. Gail, so I hope that answers your question. Let's head across to Sam. He's got something to show you.
Both.
We are live with a crested barbet. I was so sure it was going to fly away, and there it sits in the tree just waiting for you guys. There he is. Isn't he beautiful? It could be a male or a female. I can't tell the difference between the crested barbet, but it is one of the most beautiful looking birds out here in the bush, and I just wanted to sit with it. And you can quite clearly see why it's called a crested barbet. Have a look at the top of that crest. It's just really, really, really beautiful. And so you'll find barbets on trees. They're very similar to that of a woodpecker. Same type of foot structure that helps them jump up and down the tree, and they can often collect the different insects that are inside the crevices of the tree. It's often how we see crested barbets eating. And they have a very monotonous call. So this is the exact same bird we sat at Buffelshoek Dam looking and viewing for a few minutes. So I'm starting to realize that the crested barbet quite likes to be looked at, especially when there's a vehicle close by. So that's really nice to know that. And I'll play the call a little bit later, how that monotonous call. I know Safari Dean would like me to try and do some animal noises. I'll see if I can try and make that noise a bit later. But he does look puffy in this cold wind. He looks like he's puffed out that jacket, getting ready for the cold. There we go. And moving and jumping around this tree here, which looks pretty much like a knobthorn. So we've just lost the barbet, but what a fantastic sighting that was. I was just saying to Dave, like 90% of every single bird I sit at and wait for, because normally I just go on drive now and look for a bird, but sometimes I sit there and wait, and it will fly away literally as I go live. I sit there for 2 minutes, and it's just, it's just the way things are with birds, so I'm really excited we managed to see that bird. Beautiful crested barbets. It was cold, chilly winter. I've also got my jacket on. Now, I know I just said I might try and do the call of a crested barbet, but I don't know if I can, because it's a monotonous call, and I can't keep, so it's incredible how they do it. It's much like the way in which a bagpipe works. So they can breathe in air, and I'm not sure how that system actually works, but I just know that it's very similar to that of the bagpipe, the way in which the crested barbet calls. Very, very cool. So we are still on our adventure through to Treehouse Dam. Brooklyn, age 10, would like to know why an ostrich will have feathers and they don't fly. Well, they've probably evolved over time to not fly. It's probably more efficient for them not to be flying animals, to rather be quicker animals on the ground. But the feathers will also provide warmth for many different things. For example, they sit on top of their eggs. Brooklyn, if you've ever seen an ostrich egg, it's like this big, really, really big, and they'll sit on those with all those feathers, and they'll keep them warm. And Brooklyn, I'll tell you quite a funny story that a friend of mine once told me out in the bush, outside Cape Town there, and it was a story about how the ostrich used to put one egg outside his nest, always. He always used to put one of his eggs, and he would sit on the rest of the others. And the reason why he put that egg on the outside there was to remind him that he was sitting on eggs, because they would often just be forgetful and stand up and walk away from their eggs, but they would put one out to remind them that they were sitting on eggs, which is quite funny. We still laugh at that. The forgetful ostrich. So we're not far from Treehouse Dam. We're going to try and quieten our voice a little bit, just so that we can attune to this ecosystem a little bit better, listen to what might be going on. It could very well be something lurking. And that's the most important thing about when you're going out into a wilderness area. Even if you're going into an area just outside your house, the art of listening is extremely important. I mean, listening in everyday life is very important. Listening to your mother, listening to your family, listening to anyone, Sometimes we don't listen. To come out here, especially out into the bush, and to be able to listen to all the different calls that are happening here can teach you a lot and really help you with your safaring. So we're just going to listen. Oh, we've got some tracks ahead of us. Looks like we've got some tracks of buffalo that are heading in this direction. Just switch off for a second. You hear the sound of a black-headed oriole. And often these vehicles make a very, very loud noise, and it will drown the sound of the alarm call of a squirrel or a nyala or a kuri, which will give away the predator. So there doesn't seem to be any alarm calls at the moment. And those hyenas that we're looking for could still very well be here. So Orion would like to know, how do we tell the difference between old tracks and new tracks? Well, Orion, there will be all sorts of different signs, from the weather will deteriorate a track. So if a leopard walked down here 2 days ago and it was windy today and all that sort of stuff, you'll find lots of sand in that track. And also these roads are driven pretty much every single day. So there will be tracks over the track, so half a track might be run over by a car. And it could have been raining the night before, it would have washed the track away. So sometimes it is difficult to tell between an old and a new track, but a new track is, you can really see the definition in the track when it's new. Like, you can see the shadow, there's no sand inside the track itself. It's just perfect. So it just takes a lot of time, a lot of practice looking at tracks and seeing what they look like when they're old, and you'll start to notice little tiny signs. Okay, so we're here. We are at Treehouse Dam. We're going to slowly go over the dam wall. Maybe those hyenas have come close to this area. I know they were running in this direction, but I think those hyenas have actually gone back to the hyena den itself. We've actually got some visitors who are having a little break here. So there doesn't seem to be anything here on the den itself. I mean, not the den, the watering hole. Nothing here for the time being. So Orion has asked, what is the most incredible event or memory that I've had and witnessed? I'm just trying to clarify here at WildEarth. Okay, yeah. So at WildEarth, the best memory I've had so far. Okay, there are two of them. The first one was coming on the first week, and myself and Brent Leo Smith, who will be arriving next week, we went out and we left the vehicle, and after a few seconds, like 2 minutes really actually, we came across 2 leopard cubs, and that was the first time I'd ever seen a leopard cub, and I was really, really excited. But hold on for a quick second, I'll explain you. Just saw a common wax ball. Just flew out of scene. It would have been a new bird for our list. No worries though. So when I saw those leopard cubs, it was truly the most incredible moment I've had in any experience of wilderness. Just because they're so small, and the mother there, Karula, was there, and Karula moved off, and I left. I was just very humbled by that experience. And the second one that I had was actually 2 days ago with David. Myself and David were off that afternoon, and we decided to go and look for the wild dogs on foot, and we walked the Mawati drainage line. So that drainage line, you often see us driving through where all the monkeys are. We went for a walk through that drainage line to see if we could find anything, and we saw all sorts of secretive animals that were in there. And we didn't see like any predator, but we came across some beautiful landscape and just trees that are so ancient, and it was just a magical track and walk through the Mawati drainage line. So those are 2 of my favorite memories that I have on Djuma at the moment. Let's actually go towards the Vuyatela Dam, because that's where the large herd were walking through. We sat with the large herd not so long ago, and I think that if we go back towards that area and we have a look at that huge herd, maybe the predators will be following. And we'll also do my best to follow up on tracks that might be down in this drainage line. So let's see if we might be able to find something. Okay, so we're going to go and see what we can find. In the meantime, let's go and see how James Henry is doing on Cheetah Plains.
Good day everyone again. Not much to report from here, I'm afraid. We did follow those leopard tracks briefly into the block. Looked like a large male, perhaps quarantine, but then they disappeared, and I'm afraid that with the wind and the driving around and various other things that have gone on around here, it became totally impossible to find his tracks. So we're going to cut our losses, I think, and head back towards Djuma at this stage, and maybe we'll, I don't know, maybe we'll be lucky that side. I always enjoy afternoons like this from an atmosphere point of view. Hello Gracie, lovely to hear from you again. You say, did I know that Sam has an elephant on his car? I do, Sam, at least Gracie. I know that he has an elephant on his car, and I've taken that elephant out sometimes. He's come with me. And you say that Safari James is about the same size. Well, he was a bit bigger when I sent him to you, Gracie. And he does still watch sometimes, but he's a bit crippled. I'm not surprised, Grace. He had a long way to go to get to you, of course, and he's made from Buffelshoek mud. And were the US Customs or Fish and Wildlife Society to find out about that, I suspect would be in a bit of trouble. But I'm glad that he still watches and that he lives in his box there all the way across in the United States. I don't think he misses being at Buffelshoek Dam very much, though, Gracie. It was very smelly there when we made him out of the Buffelshoek mud. There's a great, beautiful view of the sinking golden orb of the sun. Well, red orb. And Jandra and I found a wonderful sunset spot earlier on. Let me just drive a bit more quickly so we can get to it. If I can remember what it is, Jandra, we may have already gone past it. Oh dear. Let me just drive a little quicker. You're asking me a question which I can't really answer. Which safari would I recommend? A Kruger safari or a Serengeti East Africa safari or Botswana safari? DR Travel, it's very difficult to say. They all have their advantages. If you want iconic African wildlife quickly, you've got 2 or 3 nights. There's no question the Sabi Sands provide some of the best wildlife in the world. If you want true wilderness, Botswana is quite phenomenal. Botswana, you will go into areas where, I mean, we're driving on a concession here that is, what is it? It's 8,000 acres. You will have an exclusive concession there in Botswana of up to 40,000 hectares. That's 100,000 acres, exclusive concession. So that's really wild. Game can be a little bit more sparse, and so you've got to judge it against those two things. If you want wildlife spectacle, so the incredible spectacle that is the migrating wildebeest, well then of course your only option is to go to East Africa. That's just amazing. So there's so many different kinds of things. It depends on your budget, it depends how much time you have, and it depends on kind of what you want to see. So, I mean, the ideal safari, if I was a first-timer coming to Africa, I would spend 2 nights in the Kruger area around here. I'd probably head up and spend 2 or 3 or 4 nights in the Delta in Botswana, and then I might tack on a little section in Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. So that, oh dear, Jean, camera left. I might also tack on, like I was saying, tack on a little piece of Zimbabwe. And then, if I had extra time, I would almost certainly tack on some East Africa, because East Africa is just something else. It really is. Very special. I'm just trying to gain some height here so we can look at the view that Jandra and I found earlier. Oh, we've come far. This is where... This is the Bushbrae site. It's not where I thought we were. Anyway, I'll consult the map as we do a little turn around here. It won't have gone from where our viewpoint is there. Oh gosh, we are a very long way from where I thought we were. That's where we had our Christmas party, everybody. How very embarrassing. I think we'll head home to Djuma now, where I know what's going on. Anyway, we found a really nice viewpoint here that's now going to be spoiled, I'm afraid, by the lateness of the day. Sorry about that. Anyway, there it is. So be it. So, yeah, lots of different options for safaris. Sorry, 1 second. Interesting because it's the Swahili word for hello, as far as I remember. Jambo, Jambo, that is the sun. Rain is mfula, so it's M-P-F-U-L-A, mfula. And then a cloud. I've forgotten what a cloud is, you know. I don't know what a cloud is. Sorry, Darlene. Other weather patterns? No, those are probably the only two I know. You can also say it's hot. Gahisa. Hisa, hot. It is hot. Or cold, which is what it is now, is gatitimela. And Geraldine is being profoundly amusing me as she's saying that a cloud is a white fluffy thing in the sky. Thank you, Geraldine. That'll be enough from the peanut gallery. So Gatitimela is cold, or my favorite, if you say I'm cold or the weather's making me cold, you say Hitwashirami. Hitwashirami. He is we or it. Hitwa, we kind of feel, Hitwashirami. And twa is interesting, it's the same word that you'd say for understand or sort of get. So I get cold, Hitwashirami, or even if I understand you, and if I understand you, Ndagutwa, I understand you. So it's a kind of, I understand cold, I am in understanding. It's quite an interesting way of speaking. Hitwashirami. Genre? Utashirami. Are you cold? No, you don't greet me then with yes, hello. I'm desperate, sorry everybody, to quickly find this spot. I'm going to drive a bit quicker. It's just around the corner because it's really quite impressive. And although the sun will have gone down, you will see what I mean by the mountains there. Yes, we're on the right road. Next junction, we'll see it. Also, this is where those leopard tracks were, so it's well worth just driving around, see if he doesn't pop out. I'm getting very shirami now as the wind blows and the animals are conspicuous by their absence, by their deep and abiding absence, which is very irksome to me. Anyway, so it goes. So it has been for me in the last few days. Right, next junction we turn straight. Oh, and Clayton, you say if I was to go to the US to explore wildlife, where would I go first? Clayton, I would begin my sojourn definitely in Yellowstone National Park. There are a few animals I want to see there. I desperately want to see wolves running wild. I want to see brown bears and black bears running wild, and if I could also see a cougar or mountain lion, I would really love to see that. And of course, the bison streaming across the plains. So, I mean, that would, while I don't like the term Big Five, I guess those would be the sort of Big Five animals that I would want to see. We're going down the right road. Yes, we are. So those would be the kind of Big Five animals. No, we're not. Talking nonsense. Big Five animals that I would like to see in the United States. Then I'd love to go to Yosemite and see, I think it's Yosemite I'm talking about. It might not be. But the desert regions and the sort of vistas that are available in so many places in the United States. I'd love to do that. Alaska strikes me as rather too chilly, But I suppose Alaska, if you're a wildlife or wilderness enthusiast, you have to go there some stage. Alright, it's coming up, everyone. I hope you're aware that I've put great effort into finding you this amazing viewpoint, which is now probably covered in cloud and utterly invisible. Yeah, here it is. Here it comes, Genre. How excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10? -5. Oh, shame. I'm so sorry. There we go.
The sun.
This isn't quite where we were, is it? No. No, well, I think we were up here. And Gerda, you say it was Titimela. Yeah, we were right here, Andre. Stop throwing me under the bus. Now, when this weather is good, everybody, this is a really amazing view. But what you can see is the two knolls that make up foothills of the Drakensberg on which Ulusaba, which is Richard Branson, he has a little spot over there. On them two grassy knolls over there. Yeah, that's quite a nice view, don't you think, Andre? I think it's spectacular. Well worth the wait, given the lack of animals. Gerda, you say it was Titimela in Belgium the other day, but today it is Gahisa. Well, I'm very glad that the spring is taking hold in Belgium, as the winter/autumn takes hold here. I think that's a really pretty view. And you can see how misty and kind of hazy it is. I think there's some smoke involved in that. And a lot of cloud and a lot of dust from the wind that has been blowing all day long. Wasn't it pretty, Genre? Why is the horizon skewed, Genre? Let me ask for that again, Jerry. Raisa has sent through some Shangaan words all the way from Finland. That's embarrassing. Thank you very much. Papa, cloud, and then mafu. I've definitely heard the word mafu. No, that can't be. So mafu is a plural of clouds. And I think what you'll find is that there are different kinds of clouds that have different names. So mafu would be many clouds. And cloudy? Rina mafu. So rina mafu basically means it has clouds. Rina mafu, it has clouds. Yeah, there are clouds. There we go. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Raisa. Yet again, I've been schooled in my own environment and language all the way from Scandinavia. Thank you very much for that, Raisa. Rinamafu, it's cloudy. Yes, Rinamafu it is. 11 local languages we have here. Raisa probably speaks all of them fluently. Genre, how many do you speak? 12. Well done, Genre. Oh, Andrea from Florida, I assume you're asking this question because you're going to come over here. You say, will it be very cold in September, at the beginning of September? No, it'll be lovely. It'll be really nice at the beginning of September. It might even be pretty hot. Certainly the end of August and beginning of September is when spring starts. It can be very hot. It will be very dry. So prepare yourself for that if you are coming out. Doesn't mean that it's a bad time. It's a really good time of the year to come and see animals out here. But cold it will not be. You might get days like this when a front blows through and then you'll need a jersey, a light jacket like I'm wearing now. But it certainly won't get cold, no. Our cold months are going to be kind of middle of June to end of July. August a little bit, but even in August it's starting to warm up. So we're slightly cold. Well, I mean, it'll be chilly for us. June, July, August, middle of May to sort of middle of August. But I mean, not for anybody from the northern hemisphere. I guess if you're from Florida, it'll probably be quite cold. But, you know, people do come on safari and they say they've never been so cold in their lives because they sit outside on these vehicles. There's this sort of universal assumption that Africa is always warm. And so people arrive here with their T-shirts and matching safari helmets. And then they get on the back of the Land Rover and they freeze. And so every little lodge here has got a shop, a safari shop, where you can go and buy curios and gifts and books and that sort of thing. And you can also buy yourself a fleece and a scarf and a woolly hat. And in winter they do a roaring trade in these fleeces, hats and scarves, because people can't believe how cold it gets in the open. And it's only because you're driving along in the open air at about 4 degrees centigrade, which is, of course, around about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And for the very kind question from Scott I had this morning about what that is in Kelvin. Scott, that's 278 degrees Kelvin. In fact, it's not degrees Kelvin, it's just straight Kelvin. We might lose signal here. It was good last time we came through here, so it might last. If not, we'll probably go across to Sam. Sorry, Jerry. Okay. We don't need to ask for a link. I'm just... Look, Chandra, there's a horse paddock. It's not really a paddock, everybody. It is where the helicopter, if you happen to have a helicopter, you can come and land it there. Come to Cheetah Plains. The lodge of Cheetah Plains itself is just over there. I always love the twinkling lights as we drive past at night, especially as you get the smell of wood fire floating out. And it's just very comforting to come into camp at night. Let's head across to Sam, see what he's got to tell you. I'll see you back on Djuma.
Don't you think it's so cool how you can just be transported from one vehicle to another? Like I'm on the back of Sam and Dave's safari with Elvis the Ellie from James's. I'm not sure what James has been up to, but I'm sure you've had some fun with James. We, on the other hand, I've been looking for those hyenas, couldn't find them, couldn't find anything around that area. The wind is scaring everything away up the trees, and it doesn't seem like there is much on this side. But our plan now is to go round towards where the hyena den is. A new viewer, Perez. Good afternoon or good evening to you. I'm not sure what time of the world it is there for you, but you were asking if there are any lions here. Well, Perez, there are loads of lions. We've actually seen quite a bit of lions over the last few days. We saw a big male lion walk into our screen the other day. It was incredible. So, Perez, we'll always do our best to try and find you lions and leopards and all the big cats out here, but it's never easy. You've always got to pay attention and look around. Hopefully we've got a good little period left of this drive left. We've got about half an hour to 40 minutes. Nothing's been located around our area or to the south of, or to the east of us at the moment. So it's great, actually. It makes everything way more exciting. And Perez, this is a live safari, so if wild dogs, if you know what wild dogs are, they can just run onto screen and next thing your whole thing's changed. So yeah, it's an emergence of anything here. Anything could happen. You might just pop out and see a kudu on top of a termite mound. Something we just saw. Kudu is one of our largest bucks. But we're also looking for a steenbok, which is one of our smallest bucks. We don't know if there's one around. You've got to look for them though, because they're small, they're agile, and they like to act like stones. That probably made no sense to you there. Ooh. We'll get back to you about steenboks later. We've got some giraffes.
We're live, everybody, and these giraffe unfortunately are disappearing into Nkoro giraffes that we're sort of trespassingly looking at. highly legal for us to look at them, but we can't drive after them. Still, a nice picture. Chandra, would you like to demonstrate the infrared for everybody? It's not dark enough yet. Thanks, a good idea. Browsing on, just hang on one sec, that's quite interesting. You know, the one animal we found today. I've unplugged myself, Jerry, don't worry, I will re-plug myself in. I think it's eating a torchwood, if I'm not mistaken. Now, torchwood, Balanites mogami, contains quite a few toxins in it, and I haven't seen many animals eat that tree. But as it gets drier, so these animals will have to be less and less selective about what they eat. And a torchwood is an evergreen tree. Very nice. Okay, well, as they wander off into Nkoro, let's head back to Sam, and we'll see you back on Djuma this time round.
I hope you enjoyed that little giraffe with James. It's been fun. So, we went to the hyena den a little bit earlier and it was inactive. And it was quite strange. It's not often we go there and it's inactive. We were going to try and make our way there now, but it takes about 20 minutes to get to the den and it's already a bit dark. So we're going to we're going to go in that direction. Potentially we might see those two hyenas that were running in front of us for a bit, which we lost in the thicket. So we just did a big circle of the block. And it's going to be very hard to locate on tracks now. We've got about 40 minutes left to drive. And I'll tell you what, we really want to find you a leopard this evening, or a lion, but there's more of a chance of finding a leopard. So Safari Dean is interested to know how the Earth Day garden is going. Safari Dean, I made that little thing, as you remember. I don't know if you remember that. It was that plastic with the cloth and all that, so that went really well. I just used a few seeds from sunflower seeds and I put them in that pot and they grew really, really well. So I still have those, but I'm building the garden at the moment, so I've been churning it and putting some compost in my little garden outside our house. So we have rooms and where we live, there's like 4 rooms at the end, and James and the other guys on the other side, and on our side we're building our gardens, and I'm hoping to build the garden with chilies and all sorts of stuff like that. Chilies and spinach I want in my garden, and so I've been building the soil. The soil is very, very tired, or dilapidated is the best word to say it, so I'm trying to feed it with some of the nutrients from the old waste that we have at our house. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of composting. I'm sure you are, of composting your waste after eating. You're taking the peels of your onion peels and all the different bit of vegetable matter that you can throw away, put it into an organic bin, let it compost, and turn it into your soil over time. After composting it, makes your soil nice and rich. So that's what I'm busy trying to do at the moment. And then I'll plant some chilies, and we'll have some chilies in the DRC, which is the name of our area that we stay in. So Safari Dean, I really enjoy my gardening, so hopefully we'll have some chilies in the not so distant future. I hope all of your guys' projects are going well. I'm sure I saw quite a few people that have done a few things, which is very cool. I'm very glad to hear that. It's incredible what one seed can do. One tomato seed can feed you so many tomatoes. And I think it's just the difference of actually planting a seed yourself to really see how a plant can feed you. It's amazing. That's just what it was like for me and my brother. We didn't realize how easy it is to make your own food in the ground. We didn't have to go to a supermarket and buy tomatoes that were wrapped in plastic and sprayed with chemicals. We could just walk outside our house drop some seeds into the soil and grow it ourselves. So I'm just looking around, maybe there's, see if we can find something. We're gonna have to get our spotlight out soon because it is getting dark. So the track and the look for leopard is not getting easy. And why I'm driving where I am now, which is the most western side of our property in Arathusa to the left, is because Karula moved into this block earlier this morning went into Simambile with Jamie, and or it was either that or Tingana. I think it was Tingana that moved into the west. So I'm just going to see if there's any tracks leading back into our property. So I know Tingana likes this territory, this area. I'm just going to drive the perimeter, see if we might be able to find a leopard lurking in the midst of these bushes. So Renee's asking, do leopard cubs deal well with the cold? Well, you know, every animal that's adapted to living outside has a way of looking after themselves, and the leopard cubs will have a den site that the mother will have for them. Could be in a termite mound, for example, and they'll be keeping themselves warm in some sort of den where they can. They've also got quite a nice coat on them when they are young, so they've got quite thick fur. I'm sure if you have a look at some of the pictures of Karula's cubs, you'll see a beautiful coat that's on them. So they definitely have some fleece or some fur to keep them warm in the cold nights that happen here. Switch these lights on because it's getting dark. I tell you, I've been putting on all my blankets on my bed now. It gets very cold. And in the USA, we are coming into spring now, which is probably one of the most beautiful times. Go outside and smell those flowers and watch the different colors come out. All the different types of butterflies that come out with those flowers. The insects that crawl on the flowers. Spring is a fascinating time. I love it. As much as I do autumn, where everything begins to die. So Orion just asked a good question on, how is the drought? Orion, it's hard to say now because we've just come out of the summer season, which is our rainfall season, and we didn't get much rain. But we got some rain at the end, but half as much as less than half than what we got last year. So the drought hasn't kicked in yet. We've still got a few weeks before it really starts to kick in. And that'll be in our winter months. So in June, July, Orion, I'd love you to ask that question when it's in the middle of June. That's when we might be suffering quite a bit from the drought. And as we've said on Drive a few times, we might be experiencing many different elephants than we've really experienced before, because the Swabi Sands holds quite a bit more water because of the watering holes that we have here. So we might have some of the matriarchs from the herds of elephants in the Kruger National Park will bring the youngsters and the others in the herd to find some water. So we might be seeing some elephants that we don't normally see, which will be quite interesting, and how they interact in this environment with the other herds that are here already. So who knows what that season will bring. Draws to an end, we'll find that it will get a lot more autumn looking, gold looking, and it's really like something from a biomimicry or just learning from nature, is how the trees all just went through a little dip there, how the trees will all go like a beautiful gold color, and then the trees will drop. Listen to how clever a tree is. The tree will drop its leaves and drop it by its root systems, which then will go back into the soil, and those nutrients will go back into the tree and help the tree grow during the dormant months of winter. So trees truly don't waste anything. When they drop those leaves, the nutrients are put back into the soil, whatever's left in the nutrients of those leaves, and the soil, the roots will then suck in whatever nutrients there are from those leaves and help that tree during the winter months, because obviously there's not as much sunlight. Elizabeth is asking, do the animals get a winter coat much like the animals in I think it's northern Scotland? So the answer to that question is no, purely because it doesn't get as cold as what it would get in northern Scotland. And I'm so glad to hear that you are from northern Scotland. I truly, I've never been there, but I've read books on the mountain ranges there, and the different types of animals. So thank you for being part of Safari Live and asking those kind of questions. The Cairngorms, I think it's called the Cairngorms, that are in Scotland. Such beautiful looking landscapes. I nearly actually went and worked in Scotland. James Richard is asking, Sam, keep an eye out for an owl. I would love to see one tonight. You know what, James? I also want to see one of those. I'm going to get my spotlight out because it's getting fairly dark. And I just have to plug it into the car. There you go. Plugged it in. There we go. So, James Richard, keep your eyes peeled on the trees as I drive past. You know, I have to drive as well as look, so just see if you can see anything with us that you might be able to find. I'm sure we'll see it before you do though, but if we don't, you just never know, you know. Maybe you'll see it. So that's what we saw last night. Was very cool. It was a tree galago, which is a bush baby, and they come out at around this time at night time as well, and they have those very significant red eyes. I was really happy to see a bush baby last night. And during the day they rest up on the top of trees together in groups, and at night time they'll move out on their own in solitary to go search for different insects, a little bit of food that they can find on the trees, like grasshoppers they like to eat. And very interestingly, they are just incredible animals. Interestingly, there's another one that has a long tail. I think it's called the long-tailed galago, which is quite rare to see here, so I'd love to see that bush baby. And what mainly preys on a bush baby is these greater spotted eagle owl. So the eagle owl that comes out will eat a bush baby as well as a leopard. I read in the book that a leopard would also eat a bush baby, but I can't tell. It would just be like us eating a chip. It's really small. Can't say it would get too full of eating a bush baby, a leopard. That would be an interesting sighting to see. So this is exactly where we saw those hyena earlier. Leopold is asking the question, how does a bush baby dart away so quickly? Well, Leopold, last night it was cool to watch that bush baby jump and get away very quickly. I think they just have the ability and agility within their their arms and leg structures to be able to jump to other branches very quickly. They just have that ability and that agility to move across trees so well. I have no explanation to how they can do it. I just think they just have that ability as climbers. I tell you, I don't have that ability with trees. When you see me climbing a tree, I'll climb that tree pretty slowly. Alright, so we're going to carry on around this area, see if we can find a bush maybe in a tree or something close to that. Even a leopard would make me pretty excited. I'm sure it would make you quite excited too. But let's just go and see how James Henry is doing as he moves into our property, Djuma.
Yeah, James, you can check with the fire.
Right, we're back on Djuma, obviously, and interesting news from here is that there was a young male lion. Sorry, just one sec.
That other one will come, that's because we had a great vertical intuition.
Okay, copy, thanks. Male lion, young male, probably from that pride that was around this morning, was found on top of the hyena den this afternoon. So that's really interesting. We're not too far from there. We're going to go past there. The lion then went off towards the west, so we'll go kind of around that direction and see what we see. The interesting thing about that, of course, many of you will be in a cold sweat about the possible demise of our beloved hyena cubs. You'll find that they were absolutely fine, I bet, because they go disappearing down into their holes, the adults scamper off, disappear, and the male lion would never have been able to get into the mound to get those little cubs. So they'll be fine. But just very interesting that he obviously smelt them. It's around about where that wildebeest was, and we had a discussion in camp today about why it is that those hyenas would not have dragged the wildebeest back to the den when they were so close by. That's one of the major reasons. A rotting carcass at the den site will attract, of course, the even bigger scavenger than any hyena out here, and that is the male lion. So I'm sure one of those three males from that pride that was found around Sydney's dam this morning. We're going to drive relatively quickly to get into that area because it is quite far, but not too far. We're probably about 2 or 3 minutes from there now. And we don't have very long left, so let's drive a little bit quickly and see if we can spot something fascinating there. That will be good. It will be a good way to end our little safari today. The temperature has not dropped at all, it's just about exactly the same. Now we must start looking quite carefully from here. I think my thinking about coming along the Buffalo cut line like this was that the lions that were found this morning may come across during the course of the night, may be attracted by the smell of that dead wildebeest, and it seems like one of them has already done exactly that. And so we'll just drive carefully from here, looking side to side for any shining lion's eyes or hyenas skulking under the bushes, waiting to see what they're going to see or find. Oh, quickly, Sam's got an actual hyena to show you.
The hyena. We have found the hyena. Look how full this hyena is. Must be eating on something close by here. It's about to. Oh, let me just switch on my vehicle. There he goes. Sorry, it's a bit dark. This is actually where we saw them for the first time, eh, Dave? Yeah. So everyone, this is where we saw the hyenas running earlier. So there must be something here. I'm gonna go around. Can't go off-road for hyenas. Can't go off-road for the hyena, so we're gonna try and see if we can follow her as she goes up the hill here. There was 2 of them the last time we were here. Now it's just this one here. It looks like a female from what we saw earlier. I'm just going to drive ahead. How cool is that? Just came across those hyenas again. There he goes. So it's heading away from us. So you can probably just make out the hyena in the distance. They're walking in quite a fast pace. Doesn't look like there's. It is a very, very, very fat hyena. So it must have been the same hyena that was eating the wildebeest this morning. Where is it going is the question. The den is behind us. It's not going towards the den, it's just going into the thick bush here. I think this could be that of the hyena as it goes into this thick brush here. Potentially it'll come back out. There comes another car. Just gonna get it. So you can see if it comes back out into the bush here. How's it? Yeah, very well, thanks. Good to see you. Henry, good. Yeah, sorry, Henry. We just got a hyena that's just walking up here. Yeah, I think it's gone out into the bushveld. Yeah, cheers, Henry. Yeah, no worries. Thanks. Sorry about that. Just making way for some friends. So we've lost the hyena. He's gone into the thicket here. I was a little bit unlucky that we had a vehicle drive past us, but I'm sure it's gone straight into that thicket and away from us. But that was so cool to come back across our hyena. We were looking for it for a while, and we just came back around and found it. So we'll drive quite slowly, because I think that it's because the den site is over there. So a point like that you can kind of understand, and the hyena is over here to the right of us, so it could very well just cross over the road. Lucy commented and said it looked like the hyena was limping. I didn't notice the limp, did you, Dave? Yeah, I didn't quite notice that limp, but I was looking at that stomach mainly because I couldn't believe how big that stomach was. And I wonder, maybe if we get to see her again, so it did look like a female, that we can see if, yeah, no, there's no chance we're going to be able to see the hyena now. It's gone deep into the thicket. That was very cool though. What an awesome sighting that we just had of that hyena to close off our show. We've had a fantastic time today. Elephants, buffaloes, hyena, all the merry things of the bush. An amazing time. All the new viewers, thanks for partaking in our adventure around this savannah. Just want to say thank you very much to everyone that was involved this afternoon, from Dave to the girls in Final Control. For now, let's go and see how James is doing for the rest of the drive.
Everybody, we're trying something with the infrared here. There are 3 hyenas behind this bush, which have now typically disappeared. I'll go back a little bit, Jean-André. I think they're probably heading back towards the den. And we do ideally want to do some tests on them. There we go. There we go. Well done, Jean-André. So that hyena's got no natural light on it at all. So what we're going to do, I think these hyenas can smell that there are lions around here. Just to give you an idea of what's going to happen when we are actually able to do this. Jean-André was just explaining it all to me. Okay. So what we won't do, everyone, there we go. So ideally what we do is, a hyena like this you can spotlight, okay? So we would spotlight the hyenas and that would be no problem at all. But what we wouldn't do, so we do, once they started hunting, or once we were following lions and they started hunting, or like, I don't know if any of you were watching with Tingana the other day, we had him in a clearing, and we had him in the clearing, or like Michelle, the hyena den, we could absolutely go there and view them with the infrared light. It won't have any effect on them. The hyenas everywhere here. I'm sure they can smell those lions. And I think possibly this is where they've dragged the kill to today. This may well be where they put the kill. So I think we're going to leave these guys to head off into the night. Look at that, isn't that a great picture? I think that might be Madam. Sorry, John, I can't. Cool. So, a big thank you, Jean-Andre. Thank you for this. This is very exciting. That's the infrared spotlight, everybody. And yes, Hyena Den Michelle, absolutely, we could do that. Big thanks to Jean-Andre on camera. Thanks to Sam, and he's being filmed by the inimitable David today. And on the other camera, at least in the final control, we have Jerry. And a big thanks also to, she's being helped by Kirsten. And thank you to all of you. We'll see you tomorrow in the morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.